Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast, West Denver. Here's a quick message from our sponsor, Local Works Wheat Ridge, provided by its Executive Director, Paige Piper.
Local Works is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to make Wheat Ridge a more vibrant and sustainable place to live and work. Our mission and action is programming that provides neighborhood revitalization and small business support, keeping and growing the businesses we know and love in Wheat Ridge. In simpler form, we provide connection. Connection to business, connection to community.
This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Meg Smith.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Good Neighbor Podcast, West Denver. Today, I'm here with Michelle Robbins from RPM Agency. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Hi, Meg. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on. I've been really excited about this.
Yay. Well, I'm so happy to have you. Of course, I thought of you early on when we launched the podcast, and I'm glad that we finally got it to work. So yeah, tell everyone a little bit about RPM Agency and you, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. I actually got into this world as a second career. I sold IT for over 30 years. It started changing after 2008, and there were so many mergers and acquisitions and things, and it was really a lot of leadership that just changed after that. I thought it was just IT that was changing, and I started hearing, no, it was finance, it was education, it was retail. It all changed for so many people at that moment in our historical times. And all I knew was I wanted to do something else. I wasn't done. I wasn't through. I had not finished making my mark, and didn't know what that was going to be yet. So it was also in the early days of LinkedIn, kept getting a lot of emails from insurance companies. Didn't know what that meant, but wasn't interested. Got one that painted a picture of owning my own business. And I thought, that's really possible now. Let's talk to these people. So I did. And I remember walking away, knocking my head, going, why was this never on my radar? And every insurance rep I have to this day says, Michelle, none of us dreamed about that we were going to be in insurance when we grew up. None of us thought about that. It just happens. And it did. It happened. And it was a good fit. I got to do all the things that made me different and made me able to acquire Fortune 100 companies. I did things that were very different. And I brought it all to insurance and said, this time I get to do it. And I won't have a boss telling me you're spending too much time with that client. You don't get to do that. I get to do it any way I want. And I love doing that. So I spend plenty of time with my clients. We spend a lot of time educating, helping people better understand their insurance. I like to tell them, I'm not trying to make you an expert in insurance. Just want you to understand your own insurance. The whole goal is to make sure they have enough information at the right time that they're able to make informed decisions. Whatever they decide, whatever it is, I tell them, I'm going to support you. Just know that if you change your mind or wish you'd made a different decision, it's done, it's gone. It was the best decision you could make at that time because it was so informed. So move on, and I'll help you get through whatever the transition is. We'll get there. Just know that that's the most important thing, I believe, and that's why it's an important thing to this company, is that our clients or anyone calling in gets enough information to be able to make a very well-informed decision. We do not make your decisions for you, but we're going to give you the right information to make sure you make the best informed decision for yourself.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, you're very much about education, which I realized when I first met you. And, I've enjoyed the talks that you've given that I was able to attend and the educational aspects of that. And I think that's, largely, I feel like that's probably why your clients choose you over someone else, but there's probably more to it than that. So please elaborate. Why do folks choose you over other providers?
Well, I think all I could do is speculate on what I think until I started asking everyone when they call in, how'd you hear about us? And when people started saying, you've got an incredible reputation, I go, first time I heard that, I thought, oh, okay, but where'd you hear about us?
Yeah.
And they'd say, oh, it was on it was on Nextdoor or Evergreen Neighbors and Friends. And there would be, for every one single, when you put out insurance for some help, for every one single comment of call this carrier or that agent or this, there would be 6 that came in with thoughtful answers about why go to RPM agency and why we're different. And I went, gosh, well, we work really hard for that credibility. I'm glad to hear that. I'm not really on social media that much, so I didn't even know that was happening. And apparently it had exploded. So it was heartwarming to know that all these things were being said about us. To this day, I still get these awards from Nextdoor because we're the most referred out there. It just keeps happening.
Love it. That's awesome.
I know. So I think, well, I guess what I'll do is I'll just tell you what they've said that was compelling to them, why they chose us. It was everything from how we explain and educate. We also provide a special document that I call a coverage comparison. We don't just throw a quote at you and then you don't hear from us. You've got to go over it with us. And it's a comparison between what you currently have, including all the coverages, and what we're proposing. There's the devil's in the details. If you just look at the bottom line, you don't know what you're getting. And too many people will look at the bottom line and didn't realize maybe they got a better deal from someone, but they took coverages away. And that's not how we operate. I want you to, it's very transparent. Make sure you see exactly what we're talking about. Understand what each of those line items mean so that you better understand your insurance. We also, I give everyone that comes on board an invitation to have a very valuable service we offer. We will do a video walkthrough of their home, their assets, their business assets. I like to tell people that you could be covered for $500,000 worth of belongings, but if you can only prove $50,000, that's what you're going to get. And it's not that the insurance carriers are being mean and bullies and ugly. It's that there's more fraud committed against insurance than any other industry in the world, except one, U.S. tax evasion. It beats us out.
Oh, wow. Who knew?
Yeah. With all that fraud, you have to prove what you say you have. Mm-hmm. You can't go, yeah, I lost my TV. Well, what did you have? I had the big curved Sony TV. That's what I had. It was the biggest one. Yep, that's what I had. You have to prove what you have. And so by doing a video recording, we've proven it for you. It gives you validation. And by it being a third party, it even makes more of a difference. I had someone ask once, they said, as I was about to walk through their house, they said, we've got pictures of everything we have, but how do they know it's our stuff? And I said, that's a good question. I'm about to validate that for you right now. This is what's going to happen. Yeah.
And then you can also make recommendations about the coverage amount because you can see, and then that way they're not overinsured too.
Well, no one's going to get it exact because we're making educated guesses on how much you have. There's a standard educated guess industry-wide that whatever your cost is to rebuild your home, 50% of that amount is about what you should have in the house. What I've learned is if you're young and it's your first house, you don't put in quite as expensive things as you do later when you replace them. So that's the version for the 50%. And as you get older and progress, we up that percentage a little bit because it's not that I'm going out there looking for the most expensive things, but I'm buying what I want this time. Not what I could have, not just because I had to fill a whole house at once. Yeah. So it's by the time I walk through, I can tell, does this one need to be upped a little or not? What do we do? You always want a little bit more than a little bit less. It's not as highly weighted an item to have a little bit over. It's okay to do that. You just don't want to come up less. You don't want to come up short.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. And I can totally see myself in that scenario because we've gutted our house and now we have, the nicer countertops and the nicer appliances. And those aren't things I was thinking of initially when I was imagining you walking through, but it's finishes and cabinetry and it's not just, your TVs and jewelry.
Well, it's getting the personal items, but if I'm there, it really validates all the finishes in the house. That's exactly right. And that's what we do. We talk about it. Yeah. If you've got hand scraped hardwood floors throughout the house, that's a big deal. Now I validated you really have that. That house burns to the
Yeah.
ground. You now have proof that's what you had in that house.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Good for you. I love it.
We have fun with it. It's one of my favorite things to do. You're really up close and personal with somebody, and
Yeah.
it's really the only opportunity that I get to go in their house and meet them on their
It's
world.
fun too. Yeah. And seeing homes, seeing interiors, like I always love,
Yeah,
a good home tour.
it's fun. It is fun.
So tell us about any hardships that you've experienced while owning your agency and, how you've overcome them and how it's improved the business.
Probably I'd have to say what we're going through right now, and it's not completed yet. I don't know if it's going to improve the agency except for how we deal with people. It's just having to work harder at this. We're in unprecedented times right now. Insurance experts will say there's always an ebb and flow when it goes up and then it comes back down, and it goes up and it comes back down. This is not a normal ebb and flow. We're in unprecedented times. I don't think it's ever been this bad for the past 100 years. It's gone up so bad and so high nationwide, but especially in Texas and Colorado. We have more hail damage than any other states. Colorado's trying really hard to be number one and replace Texas as number one on how much hail damage costs around here. And if it's not hail damage, it's wind. If it's not hail and wind, it's the wildfire areas. The Marshall Fire didn't do us any favors. When that hit, I knew, and the media was all talking about wildfires. I knew it was going to be tough after that. I got scared, and it was rightfully so. We started having carriers decline right and left. And at first I wondered, is it because I'm an independent? Should I have stayed those first 2 years I was an agent? I was with farmers, and I wondered, should I have stayed with that? No, it's hit everybody. It's hit all they call them captives, those that have that one product. They're captive to that product. It's hit every insurance carrier out there. Across the board, there is no insurance company in the country who is in the black. They're all deep in the red because of so many claims. Deep in the red right now. It's bad. So I'm usually advising people, don't do a lot of bouncing around. Stay with who you have. If it went up, all of them went up. And we can usually prove that this is still going to be the best. We do. When they really insist on doing it, we'll do it. We'll show you what's out there. And don't move if you can stay grandfathered in, because it's not going to get better. It's unfortunately, I wish I had something bright and cheery to say about it all, but this is tough times, especially for Colorado right now, and all these declines. It's a tough time.
Yeah, and that's good advice, to stick with what you have before, or have that educated conversation so that before moving from one carrier to another.
Agree. Yeah. We've had clients who left us, and I won't say which captive carrier they went to, but they were so upset and so unhappy. They came back a year later, but the carrier wouldn't take them back. It was too late. Oh. We're in these times. This is what's going on. And even if they got non-renewed by them, they lost their chance. And we're trying to tell people, don't upset these apple carts here, guys. Be really careful, and be really careful about making your claims. That when you make a claim, you're now considered a higher risk, no matter what the claim is. Even if you've been hit by another car, you're still considered a higher risk. They're going to start watching. If you keep getting hit by other cars, they're going to wonder, what are you doing that's different? Yeah. There's something happening, even though you can keep saying, but it wasn't my fault, but I didn't get a ticket. There's still something going on. Whether it's not being defensive driving or something, it'll still hit. So when you get claims in, we love our clients. We tell them that's one of our rules, is you have to call us first. Call us first. We love to help you work your way through that. If you call the insurance carrier first, you are calling into a contact center that's being recorded, and you cannot unring that bell. I can't tell you how many times people have said, well, I changed my mind and told them don't go up in this claim. It's too late. That's their only way of recording damages to a property that they have a vested interest in. It's too late. And they'll come back going, but I told them not to do that. Well, they've got to have some way of recording it, So that's why we say, call us first. Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out where the damage is enough to even equal your deductible. Or was it just $100 over? Was that worth it to now have your insurance raised and have a claim against you? Which what I call them really insignificant claims, negligible amounts. You don't want to make those claims. Let's talk it through and figure out what you want to do. They ask me a lot, what should I do? And like I said before, it's about making informed decisions. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you what potential consequences are, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's your decision. Whatever you want to do, I'll support you. But it's your decision as long as you understand what these consequences are. And I had one client who said, Michelle, he had a commercial truck and it had $5,000 worth of damage. Michelle, what do I do? Do I make the claim? I said, well, you have to decide that. What do you want to do? It's enough over your deductible. It's kind of in that gray area. Finally said, I don't want to make this decision. What would you do if it was you? And I said, okay, if it was me, I would evaluate how much disposable cash I had. And if I had enough disposable cash that it didn't matter for a $5,000 claim, I would pay it out of pocket. If I don't, it's a no-brainer. You've got to make the claim. Just go decide, how do you want to do it? Because right now, the carriers, if you have one too many claims, they'll non-renew you, and it's happening right and left. So it means be very careful about negligible amounts. Be very careful. Make sure you're really evaluating it well, or when they start counting against you. We just had a client today who's dying to come over to us, and they have 3 losses on their record. One of them was just a hail damage, about $6,000 worth for hail damage on a vehicle. The other 2 were zero pay claims. And because there's 3 that count up, everyone's declining them now. They're not even able to get other insurance. So it can make a difference. You think, well, but I didn't even get any money. Well, then you sure as heck don't want that claim counting against you. It does matter to evaluate it. And if you think you're going to get help from a contact center who is there representing the carrier and is going to count that against you, you're not going to get help there. They have a vested interest in knowing about damages to that property. It's call the agent. And if you can't get your agent to talk to you, insist that they talk to you. Push it back. Keep calling them. Tell them you want the agent to talk to you. You want to understand what's going on. You want to better understand the situation. What should I do? What should I not do? Push it, because right now it's too tough to make a lot of changes. Just demand that they provide you the service for the commissions that they're collecting on your policy every year.
Yes. Oh, I love that. We're going to have to put that out there in a little snippet so people listen to this. Because that's true. You're paying the premium. And so often with those captive folk, with the captive companies, you get pushed off to the call center.
They will, mine before I became an agent said, oh, no. They don't like us to muddy the water. They just want you to call the claims number. That's bull. We can get involved anytime. We can open any claims. They just didn't want to do it. Unfortunately, our world has been watered down by Geico and the internet. And there's a lot of agencies out there who think, well, Geico and the internet can make money without any service. I should be able to. We came into this eyes wide open, that we were going to do this the old-fashioned way. I don't care what's out there. Yes, I use a lot of technology to enhance my business, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to take care of people. People still serve people. We may use technology to enhance our ability to do that, but it's still people helping people. And that's the bottom line.
That is awesome. Yeah. So if you want good service, everyone, you can reach out to Michelle and her team. But before we get to how to connect with you, I want to ask a couple more questions. So do you have any news or specials or updates that you are offering to the community right now? What's happening in your world right here locally today?
Well, really, the biggest thing that we do for the community is our wildfire seminars. And our next one isn't going to be till the spring, but I'll make sure I give it to you so it can be published. Yes. It's always, invitations are sent out to my clients, but then I also put out through a few medias that say, if you want to come. We usually get quite a few. We average between 50 and 60 people who show up.
Excellent.
There's been times where Leslie Commissioner Leslie Dahlkemper has come and spoken. The fire department comes. Chief Ouija loves to come to mind. He loves to tout that I do this. It is our way of helping people better understand what's going on and how we got here. There's a lot of information out there about wildfire, what to do with your house, why you need to take care, what you need to do different. My perspective was not, I heard a lot of people talking about, you don't want what happened to Paradise, California happen to us. My perspective is not about scare tactics. I just bring up how we got here in the first place. What's the history of how this happened? Why are we a fire susceptible community? How did we get here?
Yeah.
We've been here. This world has existed for how many billions of years? How did we become so susceptible right now with this community? What changed? And so we educate about how we got there. I can't tell you how many times somebody after one of these seminars has come up to me and said, you're right. Our perspective needs to change. I'm a self-professed tree hugger and I didn't know. What can I do?
Yes, I remember. And I don't want you to share too much at this moment because I want to do another interview on the Good Neighbor podcast all about that because I remember being at that talk.
Oh, good.
And it was so enlightening. So let's circle back to that because I think that would be a wonderful second, episode where we can really dive deep into the fire prevention and what got us here, because you're right. That was very eye-opening.
Well, the main goal was for people to better understand. And if they understood that, there's more buy-in.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're there to help their neighbors, get their houses ready, everybody's got more buy-in if you understand what happened. And it was a deeper level of understanding instead of you just need to do this because we're fire susceptible because we told you so. There's more to it.
Yeah, because you understand the why behind it. So that'll be awesome. Okay. So tell us a little bit about you. So we've talked all about your business and how you contribute to the community, but what do you do for fun when you're not at work?
I travel.
Oh, yay.
As much as I love Colorado, I still love traveling. My husband and I are not retired yet. We're still working and we're at retirement age, but we're still working. We love it. We don't want to give it up. But we travel a couple good trips a year. People would think we're really old fogies because we love going on cruises, but it's actually, to us, it's the most economical way to see the world as fast as possible. That's what we're doing. So we love it. We enjoy it. We're going to places all over the world. We love it.
That's fantastic. So where's your next journey taking you? Did you book it yet?
Oh yeah. We got everything booked. So next year, well, we got a little side one. We're taking a break from seeing the world to take the kids and grandkids on another Caribbean trip. That'll be next spring. And next fall, we fly to Barcelona for several days and then cruise transatlantic back. And then spring of 25 is fly to Australia and do 14 days of New Zealand. And then a little bit of time in between to do a bucket list of diving the Great Barrier Reef and going to an event at the Sydney Opera House. And after that, it's take a Trans-Pacific cruise to Hawaii. So yeah.
That's fantastic. Oh, I love it.
Loving it. Really
that's definitely a bucket list item, though. The Great
Barrier
Barrier
Reef. They're all bucket list things. Everything we're doing is bucket list things. My husband and I are, this September, we celebrated our 44th anniversary. And it's really, truly 44 years of creating bucket list. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that.
Thanks. Yeah.
So tell us, how can listeners best connect with you if they have questions about fire mitigation or, comparing policies? What's the best way to connect?
Just, you can do several different ways. You can send an email to info at rpmagency.com. RPM as in revolutions per minute, rpmagency.com. You can also call us at 720-683-0010, or you can click in to locate us on our website at www.rpmagency.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for being on with me today, and I look forward to interviewing you again in the future.
it was a joy. Thank you so much for having me, Meg. I so enjoyed it, and I was so honored that you asked.
Well, you are very welcome.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpwestdenver.com. That's gnpwestdenver.com.